Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, non-binaries, and all else that may apply. My name is Glitchbug, and I'm here to talk about a Minecraft movie and give my thoughts on it. As of recording, this movie isn't out on streaming platforms, so if I don't show a visual, that's probably why. As of writing this script, it's been a few days since me and my best friends, Alter and Cora, went to go see it in theaters, and I have some key words to say about it. But before I get into the main part of the review, let's address some of the quick things. The first quick thing to address is the art style. It's probably me just getting used to it, but I didn't exactly mind it. It was definitely a shocker when the trailer first dropped, but I think as I saw more and more of the movie, I was sort of prepared for it. Definitely would have caught me off guard if I just walked into this movie blind. The second thing I'd like to make a note of is the Technoblade reference. I think this is a pretty good decision on the movie writer's part, or whoever decided to include it. I do like that Mojang decided to go out of their way to pay respect to one of Minecraft's greatest players, and I think everyone liked that as well. The third thing I'd like to address is the movie's theme. A lot of the theme was centered around creativity and allowing creativity to prosper, but I feel like they didn't exactly do a good job of that. The only two instances of creativity that I remember was the Boots of Swiftness Iron Golem and the Potato Launcher. The things like the Iron Golem army and the TNT trap and the Wolf army, I think those were more so just resource utilization rather than creativity. I appreciate that they did some creativity, but I feel like they could have done a lot more. Maybe make something like a TNT cannon or another sort of elaborate machine like an extendo grip or something like that. Fourthly, I'd like to address the character development or lack thereof. I don't think I saw any of it. The closest thing I saw to character development was Henry getting a confidence boost at the end of the movie, or sometimes in the latter half, alongside Garrett and Steve getting a bromance. It was actually Alter who made a note, and he said, paraphrasing, but he said, if this wasn't a kid's movie, they would have kissed, and I completely agree. They would have. Now, we get to move on to the main part of my review, the inaccuracies. And oh boy, there are a lot of them. The order won't be as ideal as I'd like it to be, but it works. Firstly, the villagers. They were fine, but I saw a desert villager and a snow villager wandering around, which either means that they deliberately got villagers inaccurate to show the biome variance despite it being a plains village, or Steve is a kidnapper. Neither possibility would be surprising. Alongside this, the wandering trader was inaccurate. The only time I saw them with a llama was when Techno was on screen. All other instances of them being on screen, they didn't have a llama, at least for what I remember. For reference, in case you forgot, they spawn with 2. Next is the world generation. It felt all over the place. In one scene, it looked like something you'd see combining Terralith and Distant Horizons, and in another, it looks like a downscaled version of real-world terrain. For examples, just think of the scene where the main characters walk through the portal getting a first impression of the world, and the Elytra scene. It felt like the terrain was fitted to the story, rather than the story, or I guess, way the story plays out being fitted to the terrain. It feels like it was shifted to fit a certain specific narrative, and I don't think I like that. The block placement mechanics in this movie also felt a little bit off. When Henry builds his tower out of logs, the logs seem to be rotated at random, whereas in the game, the rotation of the logs is based off of what surface you place it off of. So if you place it off of a wall, the log would face sideways, but if you place it off of the floor/ceiling, it would face upwards. Alongside this, Steve seemed to have like ridiculously broken block reach. There was a point where he was showing off like a carnival build he did, and then he just threw blocks behind him, and they were placed like, I don't know, 50 blocks away. It was a ridiculous amount. I don't know how he did that. You cannot do that in the game. The next thing of note, the flora could have been done better. In the base game, you'll come across rather large flowers, but that got very little representation here. There was the occasional large flower with the giant yellow cube on top of it, but that was all I remember seeing. Alongside this, there were a lot of super tiny flowers scattered about on the grass blocks that sort of reminded me of like one of those texture variant resource packs that like make different blocks in different positions look unique with like tiny little details and whatnot. It kind of reminded me of that. Alongside this, huge mushrooms were seen throughout the forest biome. This is an inaccuracy, as huge mushrooms, both the red and brown variants, can only spawn in dark oak forests, swamps, and mushroom islands. The display of chiseled stone bricks felt inaccurate. During the scene where Garrett was trying to escape skeletons and he fell into a hole, when we got that side view, there was lapis shown in the dirt layer, which cannot spawn there, let alone in a dirt variant. There was also a TNT block there for some reason, and dirt vertical slabs, which Mojang has explicitly stated that they will never add. The block scaling was also inconsistent. I think it was Jeb during an interview who mentioned that the different block sizes are like based off of powers of 2 because like programmer thing or whatever. But even then, the block sizes felt inconsistent. When Garrett was in that hole, he was around 3 blocks tall. But the zombies and but the blocks were like a lot larger during like the zombie fight scene on the wooden tower. The clouds throughout the movie felt like they were sort of going for a mix between like blocky and realistic. Like a blocky cloud rendition layered on top of a realistic cloud rendition and like smushed into the same XYZ positions. There were mobs that made sounds that weren't in the game. It felt like they were using like extra unused sounds, or they were using extended versions of in-game sounds. Alongside this, the nether wart potion that was showcased throughout the movie it wasn't shaped like a normal potion. It felt very slimmed out. Alongside this, nether wart does not grant the ability for piglins to survive in the overworld for extended periods of time, but I'll give it a pass because plot. I believe there was an instance in the movie where zombified piglins were just hanging out with regular piglins. I might have seen it wrong, but if this is the case, this is an inaccuracy, because piglins fear zombified piglins. They deliberately run away from them, and I believe the same applies for hoglins and zombified hoglins. And speaking of piglins, from what I saw, they appeared to be residing in a modified version of a nether fortress, which is also inaccurate because piglins are known for residing in bastion remnants. There were also some inaccuracies displayed in the redstone mine scene. First and foremost, redstone mines do not exist. It's a cool concept, but no, it just doesn't exist. Alongside this, pressure plates were displayed inaccurately. It's not a block that like steps down. Pressure plates are like seen as an elevated surface, sometimes used for like detailing to like show that extra little bit of depth. But in this case, it was like a standard dungeon pressure plate, which was not great. During the Great Hog minecart escape scene, activator rails were used instead of powered rails. I mean, outside of that, totally accurate, but they used the wrong rail type entirely. Powered rails are used to give your minecart a boost, whilst activator rails are used to give signals when a minecart passes over them. So when a minecart like passes over an activator rail, said activator rail emits a redstone pulse, which allows you to do other things. Another minor nitpick is ender pearls not inflicting user damage. It's probably just a movie thing, and they just ignored that because that would be, a little bit weird. The next thing of note is during the bridge scene, there were piglins carrying TNT. I have no idea where they got that. They probably stole that from the village, but if they didn't, that's inaccurate because TNT cannot be obtained in the Nether because sand does not exist in the Nether. Soul sand does, but it can't be used to craft TNT. During the scene where Garrett encountered a creeper, he should have 100% died. Even on easy mode, a point-blank explosion like that from a creeper deals 11 hearts of damage, which is more than that of a player, so he should have been dead. When the piglins spilled into the overworld for the invasion, they should have zombified almost immediately. Regardless of the conditions in the dimension, when a piglin enters either the overworld or the end, they zombify after 15 seconds regardless. Speaking of piglins, where are the piglin brutes and the hoglins? And no, the great hog doesn't count. During the Iron Golem scene, Malgosha mentions that Iron Golems do not attack unless provoked. This information is incorrect. Iron Golems have a specified list of hostile monsters that they will attack by default. This list includes things like zombies, spiders, skeletons, but doesn't include things like creepers. However, the list does include piglins. During the scene where Steve fights Malgosha in diamond armor, Malgosha broke Steve's diamond chestplate and, I believe, one or two of his other armor pieces in one hit. It's wise to assume that this armor was at full durability when Steve equipped it, so Malgosha breaking it is unrealistic because if an attack is strong enough to destroy a piece of diamond armor in one hit, it should be more than strong enough to kill Steve in one hit, but it doesn't. And of course, my personal favorite, the elytra inaccuracy. Or should I say inaccuracies? First and foremost, the elytra is depicted as metallic. This is not the case. It's more so a leather-like material, if anything. This is furthered by the fact that you can use phantom membrane to repair it, so it's clearly some sort of organic material. Very clearly not metal. On top of that, the shape is incorrect, and the activation is incorrect. During the scene where Henry falls down after Garrett pushes him, Steve assures that the elytras work, and after some time, the elytra does activate and Henry manages to fly back up several hundred feet, being above Garrett and Steve, which is total BS, by the way. But that's not the point. The point is, this depiction of the elytra states that it activates after a specific amount of time. This is not the case. When equipped, an elytra can be activated instantly if the player is in the air. At the end of the day, however, this is just a movie, and a kid's movie at that. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, I'd probably give it a 6 or 6.5. I can tell that some of the actors had a lot of fun with it, but there were a lot of flaws that held it back. I do expect future Minecraft movies, considering how much money this thing has already made. Alright, that's all I got. See ya.